Hi guys, this is my new project, an HP ProDesk 400 G1 MT. It's an i5 CPU 4570 at 3.2 GHz. It has 4 gigs of RAM and 320 gigabytes hard drive. And I got this really cheap from eBay. From the same guys that I keep buying lately, and it was really cheap because it has a problem. Basically it will not quite power on. When you try to power it on, the fans spin for a while, then they stop, and that is about it. I have no idea if it outputs any image in that short period or not, so I have to check that. And yeah, we will see. It could be lots of things. PSU, CPU needs resetting, memory needs resetting, bad CPU, bad memory. Yeah, a ton of things could be wrong with this PC, or it could only be overheating. I don't really know at this point. I haven't looked inside yet. And I'm quite curious to see what I find. I will not power it on before I look inside, because it could be something obviously wrong and I don't want to do even more damage to it. So yeah, I will open the case in a moment and see what we find. And it's open. Nothing seems obviously wrong with it. The hard drive was already unplugged. I unplugged also the optical drive. When trying to start a computer that will not power on, it's better to unplug all the unessential stuff. So yeah, as nothing seems to be obviously wrong, I will try to power it on and see exactly what I get. And this is a pretty weak PSU, maximum of 300 watts, so I'm kind of hoping that failed, but yeah, I can be sure about it. But after I see what it does, I will have probably a better idea, or at least hopefully. So be back in a second. This is it, guys. The PSU should be powered now. So it's basically just trying to turn on, but not succeeding. And of course, no image. Yeah, I don't really like this. Yeah, and it remains stuck in this mode, so I have to hard unpower it. Yeah, the first thing that I would like to do now is to try another PSU. If it does the same, it's clearly not the PSU, and I will investigate further. Okay, I've plugged in another HP PSU from a somewhat similar computer, or actually is this a Lenovo one? It might be a Lenovo PSU, same connectors, no problem there. And yeah, let's see what we get basically. And let me just press the power button. Okay, it is clearly not the PSU. This kind of sucks, as it was the easiest thing to replace. So next I will go to take out the memory and the CPU to see what I find there. Okay guys, I unplugged some things, and yeah, tons of corrosion in this area. So something was spilled onto this motherboard. I don't really know what or in what environment it was used, but I'm going to take it out and try and clean the corrosion, but I don't like the odds, honestly. These traces are so thin that corrosion will eat through them extremely fast, and if something is broken or shorted, it's gone. So basically, most likely I will need to replace the motherboard, and I kind of don't like that at all because it will be pretty expensive. But yeah, what can you do? It happens. Not all purchases are extremely good ones from the start. You have to work on some of them a little bit. I don't like what I see at all. The thermal paste is not just dried up, it's completely dried up. You can see it's... yeah, no words. Hopefully at least the CPU isn't dead. But this could be a total bust and everything could be dead. What can I do? I will take out the motherboard, clean everything, put everything back together, see if it starts, and if it will not start, I will start testing the RAM in my computer, the CPU in my computer, and yeah, who knows. Maybe in the end I will even keep this CPU because it is better than what I have. I have a G3258 Pentium overclocked to 4.5, but most likely it is still weaker than this one in multi-threaded applications. So I don't really like that this is not overclockable, but still better, so maybe I will keep it. Who knows, who knows. Let me just take this out and take it from there. Well, crap. Extensive damage on the other side. I don't see anything, how can I say, completely interrupted. Hopefully it's still salvageable, but until I clean it I cannot be sure. And I don't understand why only the bottom is like this. Maybe it was environment when it with lots of condensation and all the water and stuff dripped down and stayed here. Or this was flooded partially for a while. Who knows? On the case it doesn't seem to be too much damage that would say flooding, but yeah, it is what it is. Next I'm going to go clean it with some contact cleaner because I basically don't have anything better than that. Okay guys, I've cleaned it up and it's pretty bad. You basically can see the component here in the middle is missing the lower legs. I have no idea what that is and what it does. There are two more of them, one here in the middle and one here. I've tried finding a data sheet or any mention of the codes from it on Google, but absolutely nothing. So basically I have no idea if this is the component that will not let it boot, or if it will boot now after I've cleaned it and something will not work, USB or some other thing. So yeah, I will put some the motherboard back, some thermal paste on the CPU and give it a go. If it doesn't work, I have to find another motherboard. It's that simple. If I can't even find what this component is, I have absolutely no chance of finding one to replace it. And I don't even want to replace it because something else could be damaged. It has, a motherboard has so many layers that if some corrosion got between them, it's unfixable. So I would waste my time for nothing. Hopefully this is just a minor thing and we don't have a USB working or audio or something that can be fixed or basically not used. But we will see in a moment. Let's do this. The absolute minimum is plugged in. I've cleaned everything including the case. I think it was some sort of weird flood. This was left in some corrosive substance. I have no idea because up until this point everything was slightly corroded, including the case, but weirdly mostly on the inside, not on the outside. It's like something got in it and stayed there for a while. I don't know how to explain it better, but yeah, we will see what happens. The PSU has power, and I'm going to push the power button. Weirdly enough, absolutely nothing. We have some power on the motherboard. Maybe this is one of the... Okay, I have to investigate. I thought that this connector was responsible for powering stuff on. Maybe one of the others. Maybe this yellow one. From there. No, it's from USB. Okay. Slightly confused here. I will stop the video for a moment and see what is going on. So this is where we're at the moment. This is the second day. I just wanted to make sure there is absolutely no chance of any moisture remaining somewhere in the motherboard, between the layers in the corroded part or something like that. And basically, let me just power it on. The second it gets power, it powers on. We don't have any beeps, no image, and the chipset gets really hot pretty fast. I can shut it down by the button. It shuts down. I can power it on with the button, but it will do exactly the same thing. There is no memory. I tried it with memory, but exactly the same thing happens, and only once it actually started and continued beeping until I turn it off. So yeah, I'm not going to try with a different video card, because if I don't hear the post beep, this thing is clearly not posting. And honestly, as I know the extent of the damage in this part of the motherboard, I wouldn't really trust it anymore. So what I did, I searched online for a decently priced motherboard, not a cheap one, and yeah, basically it had to have approximate same shape, at least on this direction. In here I think it's a little bit shorter, but it doesn't really matter. I don't need to put those screws in. It had to have a USB 3 header on it, of course, because we have USB 3 ports in front, and it would be a shame for those not to work anymore. And yeah, that's about it. To support this CPU, it will even have more USB ports and stuff like that. So basically, probably it will be more feature rich than this motherboard, and actually more feature rich, a little bit more feature rich than the motherboard that I have in my main PC. But at this moment I'm so satisfied with the setup in my main PC that I will not even try to change and put that motherboard in here. I will put directly the one that I'm buying in here, put the CPU, put everything back, and hopefully they will work. I don't think what happened here did some damage to those, as they seem to start normally. But yeah, we will see about that. Maybe we will have to buy a new CPU and a new RAM to revive this PC, and then that will not be a good investment. But at this point, with the new motherboard that I'm buying, I'm still under the price that a single CPU sells in my country for. So a whole computer working under the price of a single CPU. But yeah, I have to do a little bit of work. But I'm still okay. Not great like I hoped, but still pretty decent. So yeah, we will continue this video when the motherboard arrives. The new motherboard has arrived. It should be a great replacement for the dead one. Still a business oriented one. It has more SATA, still has USB 3.0, two PCI Express 16X length slots, so yeah, pretty decent. So let's see if it fits correctly in our case. Hopefully it does, because from what I've looked at it before buying it, it should be a correct fit, but you never know. I've taken out the I/O shield from the bed motherboard, so I can put the new one in for a test. As you can see, the holes line up and it fits quite well. So, because I want to use the original heatsink, I need to put the original backplate from the bed motherboard onto this new motherboard. So yeah, I've checked, there is nothing on the back of the motherboard to interfere with it, so it should be a simple replace job. And of course this one I will leave it attached to the case somewhere, in case it needs to be put back sometime in the future, it will be handy. So yeah, let's do that now. This is how the motherboard looks without the backplate. But be very careful, because the pins at this moment are completely unprotected, so they could bend really easily. The old one still has the insulator on. Make sure it has the insulator, because without it you could break the board. And yeah, I'm just going to put it back in place now. Replacement finished. I'm going to put in the CPU, put some thermal paste, and then put on the heatsink. After that I will put the motherboard in the case, put on in the memory, hard drive, and see if it starts. Almost ready to power it on. As you can see, one of the rubber spaces is here. I couldn't put it all the way in because it would intersect with the solder joints on the other side of the board, so it's here. The other one is in this area somewhere on the other side of the board. And just be careful about a few things. You see these metal contacts, they are for grounding. Make sure they don't end up inside your sockets, and if they do, you have to take out the motherboard again, so that is not pretty funny. Another thing, when tightening the motherboard screws, make sure you do not over tighten them, and you do not drop your screwdriver on the motherboard when tightening, because that would be extremely bad. When doing the screws on the heatsink, tighten them in a cross pattern. Do not tighten them in a row like this. You could put dangerous stress on the CPU itself like that. So yeah, that's about it. Now I'm going to plug in the PSU, the memory, and give it a quick test. Of course, some of this, actually only the one needed for powering on probably. But I will say about that in a second. Okay, couldn't put the plug for the front LEDs and button because it has a completely different pin arrangement, so I have to rewire it and probably drill that missing hole, so it will align properly with this one, but that's not an issue. We just have 4-wire or 4-pin CPU power, not 8 like the motherboard accepts, but that is not a problem. I've had PCs run like this without any issues. 24 pin is in, memory is in. yeah, what can I say? Should start. We will see. Let me check if we have power. The PSU says it has power. And let me just try and start it. Well, nothing. That is not really good. It should have started. I think I'm going to download the manual for this, so I'm sure which pins to contact there, because it could be the wrong pins that I'm using to power it on. Hopefully. I hope this is not completely dead, because that would really suck. But we will see. And we are on. They were the correct pins. I just had to clear the BIOS, the CMOS. Probably some weird settings left from the previous owner of the motherboard. As you can see, we are on. Everything detected. This one is quite weird. But we are in. I will investigate that error. I have no clue what it is about. It seems I have the memory in the wrong slot. But I will probably leave it like this, because I want some clear area around the heatsink, so yeah, no problem there. And it all seems to be working, at least until now. So that is pretty good. I will plug in the rest of the stuff, rewire some things, see what I can do with this PC speaker, because as you can see, it's not the one that this motherboard has with 4 pins. This only has 2, so that will be pretty hard to modify. Who knows, I will see. And yeah, for the moment everything is working perfectly, and I will continue to do some work. Okay, everything seems to be working, everything is plugged in. I put an 80 gigs hard drive just to have something to test the LED. And maybe you saw it flicker there. You can see the power, it's red, very faint, but probably this is how it is. I have no clue, because I haven't seen this PC running with its own motherboard. Maybe we will see the hard drive again, activity, briefly. Of course it will not start Windows XP. It's an old install on this hard drive. And yeah, that seems to be it for the moment. PC speaker, like you can see, I've split the connector and it's beeping, it's working. Yeah, the only problem is that I get that error when booting. Maybe we will get it now. And from what I found online, seems to be something related to CPU power delivery. Everybody says to reset the BIOS if you ever get this this error, but of course I already did that and it did not fix anything, so I will update the BIOS to the latest version, and if that does not fix the problem, probably I will buy a 4-pin to 8-pin adapter, and if that does not fix the problem, I will reset the CPU, probably a bad connection somewhere, and yeah, I will find what's happening in the end. And of course, if that doesn't fix it, I will contact ASRock and see what they have to say about this and give me some ideas on how to fix the problem. But yeah, everything seems to be running fine. It's pretty silent, although I have to put back the other vent, but yeah, really good. I really like this PC until now. So yeah, a little bit more troubleshooting to be done next. I'm trying to rewrite the BIOS and I've just noticed something really weird. You can see here B85 Pro 4. This motherboard is not B85 Pro 4. It is B85M. B85 Pro 4 has the SATA ports in a completely different position and they have a different shape. They go out on the side, not like this. So you can clearly see this is the motherboard. So I don't know, maybe somebody flashed the wrong BIOS onto this motherboard. Don't really know. But I'm going to try and save the BIOS on the USB drive and flash the BIOS, the correct one for this board, and see how it goes basically. I have no idea what's going on, but I will find out in the end. At this point I did not really manage to update the BIOS. I tried old methods from BIOS, from Windows, from those. It doesn't really work. And I'm guessing that happens because somebody put the wrong BIOS in this chip, or is a completely different chip from a completely different motherboard. It's not from B85M, it's from B85 Pro 4. So the only chance to write the correct BIOS is to download it from ASRock website, use this BIOS writing tool that I bought previously from eBay for some laptops. I needed to refresh the BIOS, and this software that I found online for it. And yeah, I'm going to pull out the chip, put it in this, put it into a USB port, and then read it, save the version that is on the chip now, and then reprogram the one from ASRock website and see how that works. So let's do this. The BIOS chip is inserted into the tool in the 25 series socket, because this has two different sockets for different series BIOS chips, in the correct direction, because it has a notch here. You can see there that this is the correct direction. Also, please be careful when putting it back into the motherboard to put it in the correct direction. And now, yeah, basically we plug it in. Most likely it's discovered, and let me just click on detect chip. Okay, perfectly, it got detected. And at this point we click on read. As you can see, a second LED has lit up and it's reading the BIOS. After that I will simply click on to save and save this BIOS somewhere, and then yeah, I will continue after it finishes, because clearly this will take a little bit of time. If you have any questions about this process, you can ask me in the comments. I'm not going to go really into details about it. If I remember, I will link a video where it explains very well how to use this and where to put this jumper. For example, it has to be in this end on this side. It will not work otherwise. I don't know why. So yeah, I will link the video. If I forget, please remind me. And yeah, actually, if I've talked this long, maybe I will wait until it finishes. Okay, you can see the info changed. We don't have just zeros everywhere, FF actually, and yeah, I'm going to save this one. Onto the desktop. I'm writing original, but most likely this is not original. But yeah. And now, I don't know if you really need to do this step, but I'm going to erase it. If I read from it now, it should be empty, but I'm not going to do that because that takes, again, some time. I'm going to open the one that I want to write. This is the last version from SROC. This one, ROM, it was made for instant flash, for BIOS. You see, we have Windows and DOS. You cannot write this because they are executable files. They are not what we need. This is what we need, but it doesn't really have an extension. So I go in all files. And weirdly enough, they don't have the correct file range. Okay, I'll be back in a moment. I need to investigate this before I write this BIOS, so I don't mess something up. This error should not happen. Okay, I'm back. I've written that BIOS, although it gave me an error. I've searched a little bit online and some people said go ahead, write it. It seems it didn't work. Basically, it would not start. It would try to start, then it would shut down. It would try to start, shut down. So yeah, I've put back the original BIOS that I've saved. We are back with the same error. And I'm going to contact SROC, explain all the problems to them, and maybe they can send me the correct BIOS bin file so I can flash it onto this chip. Because most likely the one that I found is encoded, encrypted. The BIOS does something to it when you try to use instant flash to write it. So it's not just a direct write as other bin files are, it seems. I'm not really sure. We'll see what SROC has to say about this. Hopefully they will help me, because I really want to get rid of this error, although everything works perfectly even with it, but I don't really like it. So yeah, we will see what happens next. And of course some upgrades will be made to this. I've got for it two 1 terabyte hard drives, two 4 gigabyte RAM sticks, so yeah, that will be pretty sweet. And if I like how it will work all around in Windows and online and stuff like that, maybe I will make this my main rig and also put the 660 Ti in it, and of course change the PSU with my Corsair. But we will see about that. That will happen in the future, but hard drives will be going in for sure. Memory, not really sure if yet or not. We will see. And it's a success. I've contacted SROC. They replied to me in less than 12 hours, gave me the correct BIOS. It was about 6 or no, actually 1 kilobyte smaller than the one from the site, so it obviously it's a different BIOS. As you can see, we now have B85M and it has started. I really wonder if we still get the error. Let me just plug a USB keyboard or something to press F1. I think we actually don't have the error anymore. Could that have been it? Okay, I don't have any boot devices normally. Come on. I want to enter BIOS. I'm quite excited because I was afraid I will not get this solved. So I have absolutely no idea. Okay, here again. Let it just stay turned off for a while. I had absolutely no idea if I could get the correct BIOS version on this motherboard. You can clearly see it's the correct one. Why would someone flash the wrong BIOS? I don't know, maybe they wanted to have some options that this BIOS doesn't have. I have no idea, but it clearly gave us some errors. Let me just switch to silent mode because it's quite annoying, and save settings. And let's wait and see if we get the error with the CPU. No, we don't get it anymore. So basically the BIOS fixed the problem. I don't need to get an adapter to make the 4-pin into a 8-pin. It's working perfectly. So next I'm going to install the two 1 terabyte hard drives and put the 8 gigs of RAM in and see how it works. I will not put a graphics card. For some time I will use this as home theater PC, and if I like how it works, yeah, it will get a graphics card and it will become a gaming PC. Because honestly, this CPU is good enough for any games these days. So yeah, let's continue. Hard drive's ready to go in. And maybe you saw that this is put the other way around from what it was in the beginning. I like it this way. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want fresh air over this area, so fresh air will go onto the heatsink. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I think it's better this way. And the only fan that pulls hot air out is the one from the PSU. So yeah. And a little sad thing, when we lost the original motherboard, basically we lost the Windows 8 downgraded to 7 license, because there is no key attached to this case. And with this type of computers, when you lose the motherboard, you kind of lose the license and no one will give it back to you. So yeah, but luckily I have a Windows 7 license that I can put on this, so I don't really care. It's not that bad, but yeah, I just wanted to tell you. So let's put the hard drives in now. One Samsung and one Seagate. Okay. So these are the 8 gigabytes of RAM that will be going in. Pretty nice memory. This would be ideal for an AMD that could actually benefit from the higher speed of this memory, but yeah, it will also work on Intel, of course, but not at the full speed. At least not on this particular build. But yeah, 8 gigs is 8 gigs and this is pretty nice memory nonetheless. So let's continue. The memory is in and I must say it looks rather impressive. So yeah, let's go into Windows at this point. Finished installing Windows 7 on it. It's just finishing installing some drivers, some programs, and I must say this is fast. This is really fast. I really like it. And just another thing pretty important, if you have a PC of this generation with this type of fast CPU, you must put an SSD in it. So standard hard drives cannot keep up with today's generation's CPUs, or even 1, 2 or 3 generations back. They are the CPUs are way faster than what a hard drive can give them to work. So yeah, this will be getting an SSD pretty soon, and yeah, I'm really happy how this turned out in the end. It's a really nice PC. Everything is working absolutely perfectly. And yeah, this is about it. It was a long journey with ups and downs, but it is finished on a high note. Everything is working well. I will just have to clean it a little bit on the outside, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Like, subscribe, and see you again next time. Bye.